Hello, I really like when I have to review some affordable device with a good set of features and decent sound. And TempoTec is a constant supplier of such gadgets for the reviews. They are not trying to release like dozens of models each year. Instead, they are focusing on delivering few but really interesting sound products. Not so long ago, I reviewed their player V6, which was really great for that price. And today, let's talk about their new desktop digital tonal converter named March 3. Not sure is it a reference to that speed of sound or they definitely or they wanted to refer third month of year, but it's not that important. It's a compact digital tonal converter. Price is $130. It's built with AK4493 chips and OPA 1688 as amplifier. It delivers up to 630 milliwatts for balanced output and 310 for single-ended. It has Bluetooth support and it supports LDAC, SBC, AAC codecs, which is also pretty nice. So let's have a closer look. As you can see, package is simple, pretty minimalistic, but it looks rather stylish and interesting. Black cardboard, pretty eco-friendly, inside some foam, device itself, and underneath short manual displaying what to do with it, and a box with set of accessories which are relatively basic. So here in the box, I want to open it without tearing, but it will be not that easy. So from this side it's easier. So inside we're getting some simple USB charging block. As you can see, it's something basic, and we're getting it because it has two separate USB ports, one for power supply and second for the signal. Also two cables to connect it to your source and to power supply, and Bluetooth antenna, pretty small but probably functional. So as you can see, in terms of accessory set, it's pretty rich. In terms of design, it's pretty minimalistic, but at the same looks nice, and especially for this price. And despite this tiny cute size, it does its job pretty well and offers tons of useful functionality. So it's made of aluminum, just traditional rectangle with rounded edges if we look at the front panel, and nothing on top and on sides, but on bottom we have two rubber stripes to provide a better grip with the surface, and in general it stays on its place pretty well. On the front panel we've got three buttons to change mode, gain and bass boost to activate it, small LED screen, and two outputs, single-ended and balanced. Also we have volume control. It's made with the help of encoder, really hard and well-defined clicks. It's not easy to rotate, but that reduces probability that you can change volume by some accident rotation. Both sides are covered with glass, and it's actively gathering fingerprints. Probably it's an unavoidable process with this digital tonal converter. On the rear side we have DC input and USB input. Here is Bluetooth antenna. We have line out, single-ended. We have coaxial and optical out, so it can work as Bluetooth receiver for some more fancy digital tonal converter. So let's connect it to the power, and to turn it on you need to press and hold the knob, and it boot up, and it's nice to see that this screen is not flickering on the video. So it shows current connection, fact that it's not connected, and volume. We can press volume, it will write changing, and it will change between Bluetooth and USB. Gain turns on and off, and bass boost turns on and off. And by rotating the wheel you can change the volume. So everything works pretty well, really straightforward, and at the same time really convenient. So in terms of design and controls, I think it's pretty good. It will look nice on the table, and maybe even somewhere besides your more expensive digital to analog converter if you're going to use it as a transport. And of course, about the sound, I built improvised setup with some interesting earphones that I will review in one of next videos. TempoTec M3 as a main hero and FIO M17 as a transport. It's here just for illustration purpose. For test purposes I used my MacBook connected by USB to this digital to analog converter, but it's here just to show you some tunes and explain some examples, so I connected via LDAC. Actually, LDAC also gives pretty decent results, but of course not comparable with USB connection. With USB it's noticeably better anyway. So here TempoTec also repeated their typical sound signature with focus on the neutrality, on the details, slightly focused on the micro contrast, but not too much, so it's not sound too dry, but at the same time it's a bit on the analytical side, giving you that good sense of small nuances and details. So it's for those who want like more audiophilic representation. And bass goes deep, almost to maximum depth, but it shifted a bit towards the faster side of things, so it's really impactful, really fast, delivers good punch and slam, but at the same time in terms of weight it has a bit less compared to regular devices in this price range. It's not like lightweight or something like that, but a bit of weight is shifted towards the speed. It's really good in terms of resolution, good in texture representation, and especially it's nice in rendering small nuances and details typical for the acoustical instruments with a lot of resonance. And with, for example, pop and electronic music, it's also good when track is composed to be focused on the punch and impact, not on the weight alone. But for the weight you just can add some good earphones and with boosted low frequencies, and you'll get necessary weight if you want. So let's go to the first example, and it's Michael Jackson Smooth Criminal. I really like this extended mix. If you haven't heard extended mix of Michael Jackson, really suggest you to pay attention. They are really interesting, and they showed that amount of attention that people used like in 80s to create some pop hits. And also this extended mix are pretty popular because it's a decent way to get more money from the dead artist legacy. Not like I'm judging that, but it looks a bit cynical for me, especially taking into account that recent copyright trials, but it's not a matter of this video, of course. And Smooth Criminal this version has a fancy intro, and then came the main part that everyone knows, like that was cut to create short single and radio versions with really punchy bass, and that's what I've told when track is focused on delivering punch, not only weight. And it sounds really good with this digital to analog converter, giving you that fast and pretty deep punches. And of course vocal, lot of interesting instruments, arrangement and stuff put into this track is also present here. Mid frequencies are on the natural side of things, slightly focused on the micro contrast, so everything is dependent on the quality of record. If record is like so, you'll get same result. It won't be perfect, but with good recorded tracks you'll get all of what is present. Nice dynamics, good amount of emotions, proper weight distribution and all that stuff. And also you'll get slightly focused tiny nuances, not too dry or monitoring, but still on the natural side of things. And it's also a matter of preferences, of course. You know, as a pure digital tonal converter, it's really good because it's like natural and the rest depends on your headphones and amplifier. But for the all-in-one device used with earphones, it's of course a matter of your preferences here. A lot of people like more monitoring sound, a lot of people dislike it, so it's just two different worlds that rage eternal war. Of course, I'm kidding. So, imaginary stage is above average, noticeably above average in width and slightly above average in depth, but built in a pretty accurate way. It's not trying to exaggerate something, maybe a bit extend width, but depth is like just what it should be. It's not trying to push vocal forward or some other instruments. It's really like stage neutral in this aspect. And let's go to another great pop tune example. It's Careless Whisper by George Michael. Of course, this track has different instruments, but main staple or main part is vocal and saxophone, and everyone listening this track mainly because of these two reasons. And this digital tonal converter delivers both really well. You'll get rich, nuanced, emotional saxophone and of course detailed and great performed vocal. So they highlight each one stronger parts, and it's a really enjoyable experience here too. And the treble is another part where TempoTec are exceptionally strong, and in high frequencies they usually delivers more value than the price. Treble here is really well extended with really well balanced attacks and decays, and that gives you pretty good experience when it comes to overtone saturation, because it's pretty rich, and that gives you that sense of realism for that instruments that are saturated with overtones. Layering is really basic here, so it's like typical for the budget devices, but anyway, treble will give you nice sense of airiness. In terms of quantity, it's natural. It's not trying to boost treble, but at the same time it's not trying to hide it. So if you're sensitive for the treble area, it's better to listen to this device before buying, simply because on sibilant tracks it will sound sibilant, but it's not the fault of device, of course. And last example, it's like why we don't have nice pop music anymore. But maybe like in 20 or 30 years, modern teenagers will be as grumpy as I am now. They will show each one saved TikToks and discuss that they had great music, not like the young generation. But still, I'm comparing what we've got in different top charts, but comparing with what we've got at 80s and 90s, and it's like night and day difference to me. But I must admit that in 90s I didn't like pop music at all, so it took me like many years to grow and to start valuing good music. And summer moved on. It's another example of track that is built on the vocal mainly, and all other instruments are like not more than a framing for that brilliant voice, and their present instruments arrangement are nice. Something is sampled, something is synthesized, and in general it's like good music, but of course it's vocal, that high pitched notes, that long lasting notes, and that absolutely unearths level of performance and execution. And actually this digital tonal converter delivers that vocal rich with overtones in a really good way, surprisingly good for this price. So of course it's not to be compared with more expensive digital tonal converters, but if you want natural device in the affordable segment, it will be a really good option. In terms of pairing, it's really like okay, of course it won't drive some power hungry planars or something like that, but at the same time lion's share of full-size headphones will be driven properly. And with sensitive in-ear monitors it's also really okay, just sometimes I've got some interference on the 3.5mm out, not really big and only with sensitive in-ear monitors, but actually it's easy to fix by using some more advanced power brick to supply power here. Or actually you can move it to the battery power supply using some power bank, for example. Here in Ukraine everyone has now power banks, charging stations, generators and so on. What to add here? Speaking about the comparisons, just few models that came to my mind. For example, FIO Q11, they are similar in that slight focus on the detalization and technical side of things, but here treble is better performed, and on the bass actually FIO is a bit more drier than this digital tonal converter, and i5 Uno is just another example. It's like really different type of sound. It's more comfortable in the treble area and less focused on the micro contrast, giving you more whole representation. There are a lot of different digital tonal converters here, especially in the dongle segment, but I don't think there is much sense in comparing these two dongles, because it's less limited in terms of power, in terms of size, and it delivers better sound with more control, with more power and so on. So if you're looking for something natural, if you want to enjoy technical aspects of the sound, it's a really good option to consider. Add here low price and lot of extra useful features and you'll get TempoTec M3. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a nice day.